Hello, Guardians. Today is September 2nd, 2022. My name's Danfinity, and welcome to the front of Destiny Digest. First thing off the rip, thank you so much for your support of the first episode and panel. It means a lot that people are engaging with the show and enjoying it so far. If you are enjoying the show, please rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. And if you want to support monetarily, like Clancy 5000, you can do so through the coffee link in the description of the episode. Congratulations to Clan Elysium on their world's first completion of the King's Fall last Friday. If you haven't yet, check out the link in the description for their post-win interview with community manager Hippie in the TWAB. The team spent just under 5 hours in their 2 runs to complete and compete for the title. Perennial world's first favorites math class, counting YouTube and Twitch creator Datto amongst their number, came in 9th place in the overall standings. Almost 500,000 Guardians entered into the King's Fall Day 1 raid race, with only 17,107 of them completing the challenge mode on contest and achieving the Regicide Triumph according to Thursday's TWAB. In other news, Destiny 2 game director Joe Blackburn and assistant general manager Dan McAuliffe did an interview with PC Gamer's Tim Clark to discuss the many changes coming to Destiny 2 with the release of Lightfall. A lot of awesome information in there that goes a little more in depth with the abilities of Strand, the neon-soaked Neo Muna, and the threats the Tormentors pose in our upcoming mission. Something a little more urgent in community conversation comes from the sections regarding their new strategy to end sunsetting in Destiny 2. In the past, Bungie has put locations, activities, and weapons into the Destiny content vault to maintain a slimmer footprint from the game files on your hard drive. And in the article, there's some credit given to the upgrades to the game engine and infrastructure. However, Dan McAuliffe states, it's not a case of we just fix one flaw in the engine and now never need to sunset anything ever again. We're always going to be making hard trade-offs between ongoing interoperable systems and awesome content and the ever-growing file size. When asked about older planets, McAuliffe said, everyone can breathe easy about Nessus, at least for now. Later, in a response to the retweet of the article from Forbes writer and Destiny 2 community commentator Paul Tassi, Joe Blackburn clarified their philosophy on sunsetting activities and expansions, stating, we have no plans, desires to vault content aside from the yearly rotation of seasons. I think what's important here is that this problem is hard and can feel like we're asking our team to defy gravity. So we don't want to make a promise we can't keep if we hit a dead end. Going back to the PC Gamer article, Dan McAuliffe assures that as we close the Light and Darkness saga, which runs from Shadowkeep to the final shape, we want to make sure that the whole sequence is fully playable from start to finish. That's critically important to us. So expect seasons, such as the current season of the Plunder and their associated activities like Catch Crash, to cycle out on a yearly basis. What's unclear is if dungeons, raids, and other in-game activities that arrive during those seasons, Duality Dungeon being a notable piece of content here, will remain with the sunsetting change or if they will cycle out as well. Now for the This Week at Bungie Too Long Didn't Read. This week's TWAB was paired with a hotfix version 6.2.0.2, which pushed some fixes allowing resilience on armor to add a 40% resistance to incoming damage at the highest tier of investment for both Titan and Warlock arc subclasses. Enjoy feeling more speedy and less squishy. The Master Catch Crash will now also reward pinnacle progression for those brave enough to complete them. In the TWAB, they discussed the recent skill-based matchmaking changes to the Control PvP environment, mentioning that it wasn't in effect for the first week rollout due to a bug, but the effects are now in place in that playlist. Overall, games that ended in Mercy fell by 4%, while games that went to time rose by that percentage, which makes sense. They do mention seeing a 4% rise in players quitting matches early from the actual first week of SBMM changes into this one. While they call this worrying, they will be monitoring this to see if this is a trend or a bump in the system. Bungie will also be pairing with Team Rubicon, a charity that helps communities prepare, respond, and recover from disasters and humanitarian crises. Anyone who donates $50 or more to their campaign by 11:59 p.m. PDT on September 30th will receive the Verdant Seeds of Hope emblem. And now I'm really excited to bring you a conversation with my friend Revenant. Rev is a member of the Last Rites organization and is a high-level competitor in the past few raid races. He's knowledgeable in build crafting, tips and tricks, and I'm lucky he sometimes assists me with in-game PVE helps that I do on Twitch every Sunday. Enjoy this conversation, and be sure to follow him on Twitter at Revenant5333. All right, you want to start? Should I start?
You can start.
That's how it goes.
Great.
Well, sir, okay. So today we have Revenant, good friend of mine. We've met through several different people, several different mutual friends, and you've been helping me over the last year help people on Sundays, which I'm very grateful for, and thank you so much. You're also someone from the Destiny community, and that I told you before we started recording, that knows their stuff when it comes to Destiny 2 and build crafting and strategy. And so I come before you today to introduce you to the folks at home who maybe don't know you. Maybe you can introduce yourself and what else you do in the community.
So, hi, my name is Rev. I don't really have much of a social media presence aside from just Twitter. All I do in the game is I just help people. I just go around different communities, finding people to help, seeing what they need doing, and I go and get it done with them. One of the things I like to do is teach people how to build craft, not just give them the build they want, but to show them this is how you can use said tools, like D2 Armor Picker by the wonderful Miyago. And I like to see what they can come up with when they get their brain working. So yeah, that's what I like to do. I like to show people how they can be better instead of just relying on other people to do it for them.
Absolutely. And so when you're going in for a build, generally what is the first piece that you look at? Is it like a specific ability, a weapon, or armor piece?
There's when I start a build, there's a focal point around the build. Like, it could be how an exotic interacts with certain things. It could be a particular ability you want to use. It could be a weapon that has functionality within it. But there is always a focal point when I go into it, and the next thing I think of is what exotic pairs with this. And with the exotic, what is it asking of the player to do to activate its full potential? Then I build into that. A bit annoyingly these days, it's now high resilience is now the meta in terms of PVE. So a lot of the builds now are like, okay, do you have 80 minimum resilience? If so, cool. Now you could start building. I like the idea of having resilience tied to passive damage resist, but because of the value it gives, it's too invaluable to
skip out on
to loot. Yeah, going into a day one raid or a grandmaster with anything less than 100 resil is a bit silly now. So
it's like a necessity. Do you feel like it's a necessity now? Or
absolutely, if you can achieve 100 resil, why aren't you doing it? It's 40% passive damage reduction across all sources, doesn't matter where it's coming from, and then you stack it on top of your armor resist mods, your wells of tenacity, your protective light if you're still running that. Warmind Cell of protection, for example, if God forbid you're still running Warmind Cells.
I'm still running Warmind Cells and having a blast with it. How dare you?
You're insane. So there's things that still go on top of that and even further beyond, looking at you on the Oculus, to the point it gets completely silly. So yeah, I like the idea of being able to build to eat all the damage, but when that thing becomes the must-have and other stats are neglected as a result where they could be good, I think that is a problem.
It kind of that kind of feels like the same argument for, at least in my head, for champions, right? Like, it forces you into solving the puzzle a certain way instead of making you stretch to see how you can make the piece fit. If that makes sense?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's a good example last season that I kept doing, which was what's the
Was it
example
Aeger's
called? I've got
Scepter?
it on my character. No, it's Arthur's Embrace. So this exotic buffs your weighted knife to the point of when you have strength and knife on your buff screen, you can now stun and unstop. It's very easy to get the second knife back, just dodging the unstop, get it back, and then build it back up for a quick kill. But you can then apply that knowledge of that with a 1-2 punch shotgun to, say, a barrier champ at full health, hit him with a shotty, hit him with a strength and knife, and then finish him. I don't need a barrier option. I just completely nullified his mechanic because I out-damaged it. So I like that sort of thing, but it's harder to do in the end-game content like GMs. Like having a weighted knife is very easy to proc. 3 rapid hits and it gets going. Any other rapid hit after the fact just builds it up to the max timer of 30 seconds. Just keep doing a crit somewhere in the vicinity and you'll still get that max timer. A 1-2 punch shotty, very easy to come across these days. Just you can literally craft one now thanks to the Wastelander. So go out and get one. And it then just becomes a case of just careful movement, getting close to the barrier, and then executing that. But you can't do that on, say, overloads. Their health regen is too strong. There is nothing in the game that can out-damage them. Out-damage that amount of healing. It is ridiculous. So you have to stun it with an overload option. With an unstop, you can brute force it. Absolutely damage over time is fantastic for it. You can just sit back with Le Monarch and pick away at an unstop and just run away if he gets too close. Right. But it's incredibly hard to break the mold in that regard. So I would like to see champions change, get an uplift, like have a mechanic. The one example I keep bringing up, and I'll keep banging on it because I think it's a really good example for it, is the boss at the end of the Last Word quest, where you have to shoot his gun in a standoff to stun him.
That was a fun mechanic. Holy cow, I forgot. I forgot all about that. But yeah, that was great.
Any gun, if you're adventurous to it with a rocket launcher, but any gun could do it. Okay? And it would stun him. So that mechanic, I think, is a fantastic example of what could happen. Alright? Like you're running through a GM, this mechanic is up, any fighting member can deal with it, everybody has the tools to equip with it, but if you're not fast enough on it, he's going to deal some damage. This is why I love light bearers inside the Lightblade GM.
Right, yeah.
They are your equal. I mean, on a GM, they're insane. But you have the tools to combat them. Anti-barrier goes through their barricade. Suppressing tech brings them out of their super. Okay, you have the kit to do it. Everybody can do this, and that's why I like them, because they're a new challenge, and I think they are way better than any champion at the moment. So that's why Lightblade is my favorite GM, even though it's a pain in the ass. But light bearers are a fantastic addition to a player trying to solve a problem, because all the classes have the kit to do it in some form. Some just by raw damage, some by slow and steady, bringing them out of their abilities, whittling them down. You could all do it. Every player can do it, and I love that.
I was just thinking about that today. I was rolling the Lightblade today for the Pinnacle on my Titan, and I was just thinking about those Lucent Hive and thinking of, oh man, it would be terrifying if they had hammers or like just expanding their kit out so that they could pop a random super.
Oh no. Like you want to fear an angry hive titan like slinging his
Hmm.
hammers. I don't want to think about a warlock, a hive wizard dropping a well. I'm good.
Maybe that's the next move. Maybe that's like
No, I'm good. I don't want that chuffing wizard in the corner to sit in a well for 30 seconds because he's got lutefaction boots on. I'm good, fam. All right, his rate of fire goes through the
yeah.
roof. All his friends get buffed. I'm good.
Look, I'm just asking questions here. So, anyways, you participated in the King's Fall raid race. Not to like change the subject too sharply,
Hmm.
but
Yep.
where like what on the day? What was your build? What were you thinking of specifically when it came to? You knew that there was going to be like enemies that were going to take that were going to have health bars that were astronomical. You knew
Yes.
that the mechanics would be changing, and knowing you're a very competitive person in that space. You wanted to probably place fairly high.
Yeah.
What was your build going into the day? What were your thoughts on the encounter changes and yeah, just overall?
Okay, so going into the day, I kitted out my entire team, not just
Yeah.
myself.
So you were there, Banshee.
We all sat in a call like the day before, the day prior, and I helped them get builds down that they were comfortable with, that they were happy with, that was still that was still meta, and it's even taken into effect Arc 3.0 as well. Because throughout the raid we did have a gathering storm or two. It came in very handy. My builds, I had 3, but I only ended up using 1 because it did everything I needed to do. And that was, so I had a stasis one with Ozymancy gloves. That was CC. That was actually meant to be designed around totems as well as Golgoroth for crowd control.
Right.
Trying to keep everything at bay and have it slowly trickle in when we
Yeah,
needed
those
it.
turrets are so nice.
Exactly. I had my entry, which for the doors for the opening encounter, carrying the balls back and forth. It used the newly revitalized collective obligation, which had a massive glow up this season, and everybody should be trying it again. It's fantastic. That was on Voidwalker, fantastic ability spam and survivability. And then I have my well, which didn't really change from last season's GM, because upon looking back on last season, I realized actually 95% of the kit I was using was just to go over anyway. All I was losing was Solar Fulmination, so I just changed it out. And well, with Starfire Protocol, is one of the most, I don't want to say brain dead, but it kind of is. It's so easy to use. You don't really need to think much. You just need to think, am I standing in my Emperor or well? Cool. It only takes 1.5 seconds of continuous fire to give me a grenade back from 0.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. And then I have an overpowered nade because you have Touch of Flame, which makes your fusions double pop. And even under light conditions, you're looking at, I think it was about between 28k to 31k per grenade under light, which is stupid.
Yeah.
I was my team support the entire time. I was Div, I was Aeons as well. So there were times I did take off the Starfire for Aeons. And honestly, I do kind of like that role in the day one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just ended up staying on well the entire time because it's that powerful, and the fact that if you build into what Starfire can do right, you can get your well back well within acceptable time frame with minimal ads.
Like how fast?
So to give you a comparison, obviously well lasts 30 seconds. And if you were to use Phoenix Protocol, you get a bunch of kills. You get up to 50%, but no further in terms of assistance from the exotic back for your next well.
Okay.
If you play Starfire right, even out of your well, you can gain up to about 20 to 30% of your super bar, depending on where you throw grenades. And a nice example of this would be War Priest, wherein you on the left and right sides you have your yellow bar wizard, and eventually the Minotaur when it's taken spawn up top. All you have to do is time your nade, throw 2 to kill the wizard, and I would have 1/3 of my super in 2 grenades.
Oh, great!
And then to get it back.
Oh my god!
Yep. Then to get it back, deploy your Emperor. You just remember I've got a teammate there covering me as well.
Yeah.
He's killing anything that's getting by. To get it back, I would then turn around and shoot the War Priest. Now you might be thinking he's immune. Starfire doesn't care. Alright?
Yeah.
You could shoot immune targets to get grenade energy back. So that's what I did.
Oh my god.
So I'd shoot that. Then I'll turn back. Oh, and there's another wizard. That's wonderful. I've got 2 nades. Throw them both off I pop. That's another 1/3. And then during DPS, even I'm using Divinity, I'm still throwing my nades up in there as best I can. I would come out with roughly about 25 to 1/3 back based on damage alone, depending on how easy I could thread in grenades every once in a while because I'm in a well, and it doesn't matter how much damage you're dealing. It's just the fact that you're attempting to deal damage that matters to Starfire, and you get 20% grenade energy back in over 0.3 seconds.
That's awesome. So
this is how stupid Starfire is.
That's bonkers. I was gonna say I should play with that more, but I'm not that great of a warlock. So
don't worry, neither am I.
I'll leave it to you. I'll leave it to you, buddy. But yeah. So going into like King's Fall, what did you think of the changes to the mechanics?
I loved it. Actually, thoroughly enjoyed it. The only part that I think everybody is going to collectively agree on is the Atrax moment at War Priest, where a lot of people were hard stuck there. Some people say it's they couldn't have the damage. I say Bungie literally gave you a god roll Taipan LFR at the Enclave that you could craft. And if you spent an hour and a bit at Shirachi, you could hit tier 17 on it and put triple tap or clan cartridge or field prep with firing line on it, and you are good to go. It's that free. They literally handed you the DPS option.
I still need to do that, by the way.
If you've got any of the big 3 prior, which is Reed's triple firing, Cataclysmic with bait and switch 4th times, or Storm Chaser, rapid hit with firing line, you're fine. You actually don't need Taipan. But if you don't have any of those, go and get it. It's literally free. Totems I liked.
Yeah.
The fact that instead of just, I'm just going to stand here, get my 10 stacks, go off there, whoop-de-doo. Now it was, it matters on what I kill. And you can actually go a little bit greedy and get over like 20, 25, sometimes even 30. And if you hit that high, you must hope they clear quick. I actually enjoyed totems a lot.
I didn't get to run it with the contest modifier on, but I got to run it on Sunday for the first time. And I said this on Planet Destiny that night, but and it was like fairly fresh, but I really enjoyed this version of King's Fall. Like this is the 3rd version that we've gotten technically, and like this version moved, which is something that in the past I wouldn't have thought of with King's Fall in Destiny 1. Like Destiny 1 the Destiny 1 versions didn't feel like there was a sense of urgency really in movement, more so in making sure you hit certain gates. But with this, you not only do you have to hit the gates, but you also have to have the movement down. And there's some ways to do it fairly safely, but you have to be kind of on your toes, and I like that aspect of this one. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I felt much more engaged when it came to the encounters. Like, even though I was the div user and I was stationary a lot of the time, I was also keeping my head on the swivel for my team, so they could help out when needed. As much as it's a pain in the ass, I actually like how they did War Boost.
Yeah.
With having to go hunter-killer on a night, and immediately under contest conditions, he can eat a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So that was a nice change of pace, and DPS was still the same. Like, you still have to be inside the aura, but you have to go and kill a big boy now, not just kill a minion.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So that was good for me, at least. Under contest, Warproof for my team was a mechanics check. We kept forgetting about the right knight or the left knight. Right. So eventually we managed to get it down, but possibly could have placed a little bit higher if we got it down, if we got our heads on straight. For Golgoroth, just saying F it, just give them hard mode as the norm.
Yeah.
Is fantastic. No changes whatsoever, really.
Yeah.
So I actually enjoyed that. I did like how, because obviously now we have the token system in the raids, you then had to worry about, if you failed to capture gaze, what contributes to the Tablet of Ruin white mechanic, and that is how many orbs you failed to drop,
which was very cool. I liked that it wasn't just like just keep standing in the pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you still got from pool to pool, but if your gaze team messes up, then you've got to. Well, first you got to get out, but you also got to take note, like how many were still on the ceiling, because that's what contributes to the runes at the back.
Yeah.
You know, it's no longer deaths. So I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it. For Daughters / Oryx, the simplifying of it all, while still making it seem like it's a long encounter. We could just build from point A to point B 3 times. Third one picks it up, takes the brand. That's very simple and easy to follow, and I'm not standing around looking like a lemon for God knows how long on the plate as we try to build counterclockwise. Right.
Exactly.
So I did enjoy that change as well.
I feel like
the fact that
I feel like that change specifically, because in D1 a lot of people, because you could choose in Oryx who was going to grab the brand, a lot of people didn't want to do that role, specifically because they'd have to remember which way to run, like clockwise or counterclockwise, to get to the empowerment. But I like the way that the kind of the X strategy of it, like you have to cross the room on these, but you don't have to remember necessarily a rotation. You just have to know, I go from point A to point B. Cool. I can just rip through that. I think that democratizes and kind of empowers people, especially since they're randomized, to be able to be like, oh, I can definitely do this.
Exactly. Like a lot of people back in King's Fall, myself included, like I only did King's Fall 4 times in Destiny 1. I was a solo player for the whole of D1. Still got all my exotics though.
Of course you did.
So, back then it seemed rather daunting, like, oh, everybody's got to step on that plate, and that plate in order, and then I have to go all the way around whilst being shot at by the biggest guy in the room. That's fantastic. This is perfect, wonderful. Alright, what if I mess up? What if I miss one of these jumps? Now there's only 5 plates. Like, if you mess up, it ain't that big of a deal. Just get back on, jump up to 5 again, off you pop. But back then, it was God knows how many. So it just seemed pigeonholed to the ones who were confident that they could always pull it off. Whereas now it's like, okay, your taunt, you're going up, and I don't care if you don't like it. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Like, you could do this comless. Like, all you need to do is go stand at point A, wheel build to point B, off you go.
Yeah.
Go and grab it. And the way they balanced it out from the longevity of King's Fall D1 to King's Fall D2 was, okay, you have to go up 3 times. Which still feels like it's the same length as building up the entire path in D1, but without the hassle of it. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, if it's going to be a rule of 3, that's a very simple game dev technique that everybody understands without having it being spoken into the room.
Oh, that's like, storytelling. That's jokes. Rule of 3 is everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rule of 3's everywhere. Like, you just expect it.
Yeah.
So, cool. I enjoyed the changes in there, and especially like the fact that Oryx is now a DPS checkpoint instead of just let me stack up 16 orbs real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember that being daunting in D1, and especially like failing at that. Ugh.
Yeah, failing at that was just not. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Whereas the the overwhelming power triumph, which is literally the homage back to that one phase Oryx, you can still do if you mess it up, which I've seen twice in my runs in King's Fall now. I've seen Knights take it and messed up ball calls as well, so they weren't detonating to initiate the stun from the same location, but we kept doing it in different areas. And you can still pull it off. Like, I've had the case where the Knight ate 3 balls. We only technically lost 2 because we still needed to detonate 1. So it wasn't that much of a loss in terms of DPS, and we still got the 1 phase down. So it's much more forgiving in the same time frame to do it. Admittedly, you can, if your team's cracked and you've got all the right gear, you can 2-phase Oryx. So you can do that. The fact you can also stop the bomb attack that he does, where you have to run around like a headless chicken for about 30 seconds.
You have to kill the knights in order to stop that attack?
Yeah, I like that as well. I think that's kind of nice because everybody absolutely was irritated by that.
Yeah.
Myself included, so just kill the knights to stop the attack. Yeah, I'll do that every time.
Easy.
Like, the moment I see him spawning in, I'm jumping up to a plate, I'm ready to kill it off spawn, and then I'm moving.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah.
So maybe to close this out, Oryx, front or back of the room?
I don't care. Like, this is the thing. Everybody's going, no, he's at the front, he's at the back, he's on the left, he's on the right. I don't care. Does the team get which orientation he is? Yes, because he's right there. You can see him. It doesn't matter if he's front or back. You know exactly where he is at all times. He's the biggest thing in the damn room. Now, the only thing that makes sense to me, and what I say if I'm the shot caller in the team, is when we enter the room for daughters is, okay, L1 and R1 are closest to us because they're the first things you see. Yeah. And I always say that because having certain things said in a particular way to me makes me remember it more.
Well, it standardizes it across the different raids too, because you not only have those call outs for Kingsfall, but you also would have it for like Val in the Rolk room. You have L1 through 3 on the left hand side, with 1 being the closest one to you. So
exactly,
like it makes sense. You could also say that for Tanix section 1, for the Yeti coolers and everything. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it standardizes it enough across raids that everybody kind of understands the discipline of those call-outs when they're made.
Mm-hmm. So, for me, if I join your team, don't be an ass about the call-outs. If the entire team gets the call-outs, just stick with the damn call-outs. Because the entire team gets it. No? Yeah. Don't be the odd nail sticking out of a board.
Whatever gets you the win. Whatever gets you the win.
Like, we all want to kill him and turn him into touch and malice. Yeah. Just give it a program, bro.
There's a lot of engagement farming over the weekend over this.
Oh, absolutely. My call-outs are the best, by the way, because if you actually notice what they all are, they're all technically the same thing.
Well, dude.
So,
I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for hopping in. I know you don't. Have you done this before? Have you been a guest on a show before?
This is literally the first time I've ever done this.
How dare you? Well, thank you for allowing this show to be like your first podcast unveiling, and may it not be the last, because you're very knowledgeable and just a good dude. I appreciate you. If you can tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Sure. As I said at the start, I'm a Twitter gremlin, so just come and find me on there. My @ is Revenant 5333. That's literally it. If I can help you, I'll try, very least. So yeah.
Thanks again to Rev for sharing his awesome insights with us. One final thing before we hop out of here. Guardians are going gold for the month of September to raise awareness for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month after an impassioned post to the Our Destiny Fashion subreddit. The post reads as such. May 2nd, 2020, my family and I lost my oldest to Ewing sarcoma, an aggressive pediatric cancer. The September before losing her was the first time I started asking those of you who would to go gold for the month of September, as it's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and gold is the color associated with it. No monetary gains here, just a supportive gesture, asked by one dad to others. So I'm asking again if you would, my fellow dads and guardians, to please join me and go gold for the month of September. It would be awesome to see a tower full of gold titans, hunters, and warlocks. My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where the eyes are else. You can also catch me 3 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/Danfinity, helping Guardians through dungeons, raids, and other Pinnacle PVE activities. If you'd like to support the show, remember to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice, and also go and follow the Ko-Fi. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much for listening.